us. And then the fifth mark is hospitality. Look again at Romans 12:12 and verse 13. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer, contribute to the needs of the saints, and seek to show hospitality. Pursue hospitality. Seek to show it. Practice it. Well, what's hospitality? Last week we talked about Philadelphia, love of brother. This week we have philoxenia, love of the stranger. It's the welcoming and fellowshipping with believers and non-believers with a goal of them seeing Christ more clearly. It's not just hanging out. It's intentional hanging out. It's welcoming. It's creating a space for others. It's listening and paying attention and providing. And this was really important here in the church in Rome. There were no Holiday Inns. There were no Airbnbs. And so traveling Christians needed help. And hospitality today is really a lost art. Now, it's obviously impossible to be too hospitable right now, but even before this in America, years ago, there was a sociology book called Bowling Alone put out by a guy named Robert Putnam, and he showed that at the time of writing, there was a 33% decrease in families eating together, which is tied then to a 45% decline in having friends over. We just go home and we hit our little garage button and we slide in, we close it, and we don't even know our neighbors, much less have them over anymore. But here, the Spirit, through the Apostle Paul, says Christians should pursue it. And we welcome others because God has welcomed us. Even way back in Deuteronomy 10, listen to the way God commanded his people. Deuteronomy 10:19, love the sojourner, that's the stranger. Therefore, why? For you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Remember, what God has done is the foundation. The gospel is the foundation for all that we're called to do. In fact, if you look over the next page, chapter 15 of Romans, verse 7, therefore welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. As God has been to us, so you go and be to others. 1 Peter 4:9, just read it. Show hospitality to one another. And he says, without grumbling. Unbegrudgingly. I think that's there because some of us are tempted to do it with grumbling. Some of us aren't naturally inclined. Some of us will love it. Some of us will not like it. So he says, show it and do so without grumbling. Why would we grumble? Well, because it's hard, right? Our agenda will be interrupted. We don't want that, right? We're curved in on self. We want our kingdom and queendom. But hospitality can be hard. There will be dirty floors. There will be spilled drinks. There will be lots to clean up. There will be difficult people. You may have to do a little bit of picking up beforehand. But it's really important to know we're not talking about southern hospitality. We're not talking about entertaining others. How's this different? Well, the focus of entertaining others is to impress others sometimes. The focus of hospitality is serving others. And you can serve one another with paper plates and soup. And Jesus was a great example of hospitality, specifically with food. He often did ministry at a table. So much of his ministry was that. He was eating and drinking so much that his enemies accused him of being a glutton and a drunkard. Let me ask you a question. Why did the Son of Man come? There are actually 3 verses in the New Testament that start that way. 3 sentences. The Son of Man came. I wonder if you can fill them in. Go ahead, take a guess. Can you get any of them? Son of Man came to, give you a hint. One's Mark chapter 10, verse 45. Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. That's one of the purpose statements of the coming of Jesus. Luke 19:10, the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Let me read the third one. The third one's in Luke chapter 7, verse 34. The Son of Man came eating and drinking. He came and he ate and he drank. Jesus was constantly eating with people. And Luke tends to highlight that so much so that one commentator of Luke says this. In Luke's gospel, Jesus is either going to a meal, at a meal, or coming from a meal. In Luke chapter 5, he eats with tax collectors and sinners at Levi's house. In Luke chapter 7, he eats at Simon's house. In Luke chapter 9, he feeds the 5,000. In Luke 10, he eats at Martha and Mary's house. In Luke 11, he condemns the Pharisees at a meal. Luke 14, he tells people to invite the poor to a meal while he was eating a meal. Luke chapter 19, Jesus invites himself to the house of Zacchaeus. I love this one. The Son of Man, we know he has nowhere to lay his head. He's homeless. He hears a rumor. Hey, Zacchaeus, you're a chief tax collector. You're loaded. I'm coming to your house today. You probably have some food. I'm going to come over. If you have some water, I can turn it into Welch's grape juice. And then Luke 24, what does he do after he's resurrected? He asks, and I quote, the resurrected Jesus, have you anything here to eat? End quote. And they broil some fish, and here's what it says. He took it and he ate it before them. I love it. Up from the grave he arose, fish tacos. Food matters. Food matters to God. It seems as if the Spirit is heavy with good people around good food. Lives shared. Companionship formed. In fact, that word comes from cum, together, and panis, bread, companionship. So pursue hospitality. Have people over when you can. Come up with cheap or easy recipes. Again, we're not talking about impressing or entertaining. We're talking about serving. Even right now, make a list of potential people you can have over. When we return to the normal, invite people over regularly. Get lunches together, get coffees. One of the things that would be really neat is to have something, some crock pot meal or something on a Sunday and meet someone. Say, hey, you want to come over for lunch? And just be ready. You got a stack of paper plates and you got some soup, paper bowls, whatever it is. When we get back together, show love to the stranger. It's going to be really good to see one another, and we need to do that, but we also need to find that unfamiliar face. Get to know them. Seek to show hospitality.